Hello my fellow YouTubers, my name is Meke'l and I am back with another video. I know you're thinking, why am I dressed up and in my spooky ooky element? And that's because Halloween is every day for me, and it does not need to be October 31st for you to feel the spirit. And by the way, Mariah Carey's back in her ice cube, so that's another excuse to go for it. The theme for this video today is scary movies, scary movies, scary movies, and specifically horror movies that came out in 2024. If you know me personally, you would know that I am such a big fan of scary movies. And for the year 2024, it was like being in a buffet of like all the scary movies you can think of. It was pretty amazing to have that anticipation of, yes, you see that trailer, I have to see it. This might be a different kind of movie. And for me, I've watched quite a few movies for that year. Within that year alone, I have watched 15 different types of scary movies in the theaters or at home, but it was still from the year 2024. And that is actually insane because normally it would be like 2 or 3 that I've seen. And of that list, I've highlighted that there's 3 that made it to be the cream of the crop. And it's changed my experience of being a moviegoer to see a scary movie. Period. Basically. So I will give you that list right now. There were some good contenders that year, but like I said, the ones that really stood out were 3. And those 3 were In a Violent Nature, Terrifier 3, and The Substance. And I will give you the reasons why. And I will start with In a Violent Nature. Of all the subgenres of horror, my favorite subgenre is your good old slasher dasher flick. And there's no surprise that 2 out of the 3 movies that I picked is your big old gory slasher flick. And with In a Violent Nature, the reason why I appreciate that movie is because it gave like a different perspective, because you're basically following the POV of the killer. You are walking along with the killer as he's going to his victims. And the pacing is extremely slow. Like, he is walking like 1 mile per hour to go get his victims. And a lot of people complain about that, but it added a lot of tension and a lot of suspense, because you know he's gonna head to that victim pretty soon. And once he make it there, oh man, the kills are crazy. Like, the note that I put for that movie is like Mortal Kombat fatalities, like in real time, in real action. I would never think of like the things that I've seen in that movie. It was truly a sight to see if you were there to watch it. The reason why I put Terrifier 3 on the list, and yes, it gets a lot of judgment for being it is torture porn, basically. It has a good storyline, and with this movie, it was, wow. You would think, okay, after the first or second movie, how can you top that? Definitely, they topped it with the gore. And what I appreciate about the movie is that everything that you think is like off limits, they just went beyond that boundary. They really tested what would probably, it would definitely be in like the video nasty of the 80s, because murdering children or killing animals, you name it, self-mutilation, all of that is in the film. And the shock factor just kept going and going and going and going. And you know what? If you're gonna make me feel something, that speaks volumes, because a lot of movies, it's hard for me to be convinced. And Terrifier 3 took me there. I would also like to add that the killer Art the Clown in all three of the Terrifier movies is literally one of the best. Like, I would compare him to being a combination of Jason and Freddy because he have the brutal kills like Jason and he has the hilarity of Freddy even though he's not even speaking because he's a mime, but the charisma that he exudes is just out of this world. And that's why in my opinion he's the greatest modern slasher out there now. My very last entry for my big three of 2024 is The Substance. And The Substance is getting a lot of recognition, and deservedly so, because it's a really good movie and the acting is phenomenal. Like, Demi Moore did such a great job. And with this movie, the subgenre, I would call it body horror. And it's very reminiscent to like The Fly, whereas like the special effects, it was just disgusting. I'm gonna just be really honest, it was gross. Even with the little subtleties of the movie kind of grossed me out with the constant zoom ins. It was like ASMR for grossness. And I couldn't look away either. It was just great. It was a really fun ride and honestly my favorite of the year. And it's not even a slasher flick. Like, it says a lot. It had all the elements of like a little bit of gore. There's some action in there. It's super funny. Like, that movie took the cake for me. I had such a good time watching it in the theaters, and I highly recommend watching it yourself too. And yeah. By the way, I was extremely disappointed by Maxine. Like, I was so hyped up by that movie because I was a fan of like the X trilogy. Like, I loved X. Pearl was awesome. And I'm like, you know what? Maxine's gonna be the last movie. It's gonna take the cake. It's gonna take it home. Home run? No. I was so disappointed. Granted, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a bad movie, but I expected way more for that to be the last one. So I had to get that off my chest. I would say Cuckoo 2, the trailer for that movie hyped me up, and then when I watched it, it wasn't what I was expecting. Like, it wasn't horrible, but I wanted more. I can't leave a theater wanting more. And that's what Maxine and Coco did for me. Well, folks, this marks the end of my video. Before I go, I would love to give major shout outs to a few YouTubers that I've been following for some time or have made me feel like I'm in a community, because it's hard for me to find other people that are into horror movies like I am. So every time I tune into your videos, it makes me feel at home. And that's Spooky Rice, Dead Meat, and Zane Parker. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I am truly inspired, and hopefully one day we can chat it up about the new movie that's out. So thank you again, and I really appreciate it. Once again, thank you to those that are tuning in and watching my videos. I am very thankful for that, and if you do like the video, please like, comment, or subscribe. And I'm fairly new to this. This is a new hobby of mine. Same with doing this makeup. I know it looks very amateur, but it's something that I always found to be fun, and I'm just giving it a shot. So bear with me, friends, but thank you again, and have a good one. Bye.